This is a peculiar cover from The Economist back in January of 1988, in which it stated this the phrase here, "Get ready for world currency." What's peculiar about this is that the medallion around this phoenix is dated 2018. That's this year, according to when I'm making this video. And The Economist magazine is majorly owned by the Rothschilds. So if anything's about the currency, they would know, since they have a great deal of ownership of wealth from around the world and their stake in America. But this phoenix that's rising above the ashes of cash, phoenix is a symbol of new birth, rising above the ashes. Let's look at the article itself. Of course, I don't have the actual edition, so I'm getting this information from this Zero Hedge article. But this tells about 30 years from now, Americans, Japanese, Europeans, and people in many other rich countries, and some relatively poor ones, will probably be paying for their shopping with the same currency. And this just tells about how there's going to be a common currency and a new world economy. And this has been in the works for some great time now, and Bible scholars say that the Revelation 13 of the mark of the beast relates to this final currency, in which you will have to have the seal of Antichrist, or the beast, as many say, and take it upon your right hand or your forehead in order to be able to buy or sell. That's what Revelation says. Let me just pull it up real quick so we know what we're talking about. Just so you have a reference here, we're talking about the blasphemies and the making war with the saints, overcoming them, power given him over kindreds, tongues, and nations. All the nations of the earth all the people will worship him. And then it talks about the image of the beast. And then it talks about how no one will be able to buy or sell, anybody small or great, rich or poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So, anything related to currency brings us to this passage. But you'll also notice the number 10 here. 10 is significant in scriptures also, because it points to it being related to the 10 regions, the 10 horns in the scriptures. Like this, I stood here and, 10 horns. So it has significance as well. So we have to keep those things in mind whenever we're looking at the economy and the things that are relative or relevant with the scriptures. But anyway, this is Rothschilds. I just wanted to show you this cover as we talk about it on the podcast, so you know what we're talking about. And the phoenix is the name, supposedly, of this currency. It's called the phoenix in this article. So if you start to hear about the phoenix, that's what they're referring to, this image here. And the phoenix is significant in secret societies because the phoenix rising up from the ashes, can fly into the sun, has sun worship associated, but more than that, to be birthed again, rebirthed anew. And as the Rothschilds and the secret societies, especially under the Rosicrucians, had a plan for a new Atlantis. And that brings us back to the garden times before the flood, antediluvian era, in which mankind was basically able to operate without the confinements of God, as they were expressing their own morality or immorality, whatever you want to call it, and defiling against God. And God had to stop their plans before men destroyed themselves to be continually wicked. But they look back at the garden as a place of wisdom, where the serpent, gave man the knowledge of good and evil to become like gods. And that's the whole premise for secret societies. It's polytheistic and it's Gnostic. So we're wondering if the phoenix is a symbol of that era that they intend to bring about also. This is also interesting. This was in a magazine as well for The Economist, and I just wanted to show how Trump was in this, and how these symbols, see if I can pull up a bigger, here we go. There was certain tarot cards, or whatever you want to call them, Illuminati deck cards, and these things had brought up some suspicion as symbolism to things, and I'm not going to go through everything they symbolize, but we see a tower here broken. On one side you see communism, on the other side a cross. So this is like a dividing of the separation and a uniting of communism, Christianity, which is basically a hybrid Catholicism, world ecumenical religion of such. And you have Trump here sitting on a throne of judgment, and making laws, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe he is the Trump card and the agent behind the scenes that the Rothschilds and the elite are using. Maybe he's not deliberately trying to be part of them, as many say that he's against the deep state, but perhaps he is kind of being swayed by them to do their bidding. Then we have this world with all these different emblems and such. We have the kind of the illumination here, illuminating, bringing all things under the auspices of the Illuminati. The Hermit, in which we see symbolisms, different ideologies and political agendas, and broken coin or something here, I don't know. The Death card, Apocalypse, someone riding on a white horse, death perhaps, war, and then the Magician, which is almost like, hermetics. A lot of occultism is hermetics, alchemy, and maybe this is like techno magic, technology, as AI is increasing and such, and merging hermetic alchemy, enlightenment with together, Wheel of Fortune. It's just like a relay wheel or so, where it stops, nobody. They own both ideologies, both sides of things, so it doesn't matter. There's a Hegelian dialectic, which is problems, reaction, solution, or thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So it doesn't matter where it rolls. They can work with it to balance out each side until they get their suggested result. And then the stars, where the comet is like a falling star, and you have all these symbols of stars, which is the hosts of heaven, possibly the fallen angels. Who knows? But these things tend to be predictive programming for agendas that are on the eve here, as we enter into 2018, possibly to get ready for the world currency. Who knows? Well, let me show you something else too. Here's the Rothschilds. Here's how powerful the Rothschilds are. Real quick, let me see if I can pull some things up. Sinister Sights, Israel Supreme Court, has the emblem of the Freemasonry on it, and the Rothschilds, House of Rothschilds, have stake in Israel, as the Zionist movement had petitioned to parcel the lands of Palestine in order to acquire it for the Jews. And as this says, it's a path to illumination. But let me show you something else here that you may not be familiar with. In 1917, Lord Arthur Balfour had issued a declaration to Lord Rothschild that they would be behind the parceling of the land, and that Rothschilds would be able to acquire a land, and for the Zionist Israel Jews. And this came about in 1948 with the declaration of the State of Israel, which is a Rothschild Zionist political state. But let me show you something else you may not have seen. An article in a newspaper in 1829 reported that the Rothschilds had purchased Jerusalem. Yeah, it was said that they had the wealth in order to be able to purchase it. So it can't be doubted, it shall be doubted, because the Rothschilds were slighted as a wealthy family even back then. So despite people saying that the Rothschilds don't own that much wealth, they do. So that was a report back in 1829. Let me play some of this audio for you to hear for yourself from his own mouth. This is a Rothschild.
His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment of Palestine as a national home to the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing should be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Yours, Arthur Balfour.
So there you have it. You can believe what you want about Israel, but this is the stated physical documentation and facts. And according to the Rothschild wealth, that this is proclaimed that they have a power in this world. They have something that they have power over, trying to control the nations. God really controls the nations, and he will have final say. The Rothschilds won't have final say, but they're going to disrupt the world in the meantime before the end, the day of the Lord comes. And it's up to us to be wise and expose these dark deeds. Thank you for watching. My website is jimdukeperspective.com. Please subscribe to this channel, and thank you very much.